everyone and welcome to another video from Checkmate Tutors, designed to assist you on your English for Academic Purposes or EAP course. In today's lesson we are going to discuss the topic of plagiarism and a strategy for avoiding this. This will lead us into our next video, which will teach you how to take notes properly so that you don't unintentionally plagiarise. To get us started, I want to talk with you briefly about what plagiarism is. Plagiarism is the accidental or deliberate passing off of someone else's work, knowledge or ideas as your own and not acknowledging that these belong to somebody else. Now, as you can see, I've said that plagiarism can be accidental or deliberate. In any event, universities and other academic institutions, if they detect it in a final draft or submission of an essay or another piece of work, are likely to fail that particular piece of work, make you submit another piece of work on another topic, and cap the grade you achieve so that you only just manage a pass, or in the worst or repeat instances, remove you from the course as a whole. You may be asking, how is it fair that if I do something by accident, I get punished for it? The answer is simple. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Almost all universities provide introductory lessons on what plagiarism is and how to avoid it. And let's be honest, in real life, plagiarism is just an extension of getting someone to do your homework for you, or you doing it for them, like when you were at school. If you ever got anybody to do your homework for you, you knew it wasn't your work. And if you ever did this work for anybody else, you probably felt quite annoyed that the person you were doing it for was getting the credit and the reward for your hard work. Plagiarism is as bad, except the person whose work you're stealing, unintentionally or otherwise, doesn't know you're doing it. There are several different types of plagiarism, some more deliberate and easily avoidable than others, but all are going to be discussed in this segment. Types of plagiarism explanations. Complete plagiarism is basically taking someone's completed work, putting your name on it and pretending you wrote it or created it, and then submitting it as your own work. Direct plagiarism is very similar to complete plagiarism, but instead of submitting a whole document as your own piece of work, it involves copying and pasting sections of someone else's work into your own without quotation marks or citations, and then submitting the work as if you created it all. Source-based plagiarism is when, in a piece of work you submitted, you cite a source that is incorrect or doesn't exist at all. Also in this category, the falsification or invention of data and the findings of research, or the alteration of results to give a misleading impression. This may not have real-world consequences in most cases. However, if such results and findings are altered in the medical field, for example, it can negatively affect clinical decisions. Paraphrasing plagiarism. This is the use of someone else's writing in your own work, but making minor changes in vocabulary or wording of the sentences, making it appear to the reader that these were your original thoughts or ideas. Often this is unintentionally done because students who are not fully aware of what plagiarism is think that by simply substituting keywords for synonyms, they have produced their own work, and this is simply not the case. Mosaic or patchwork plagiarism. This is where the writer's own words and sentences are blended together with the words of other published sources. It is similar to paraphrasing plagiarism, whereby the writer hasn't paraphrased properly. But in patchwork or mosaic plagiarism, the writer stitches together the work of other writers by combining their own words with those of other writers, but without sufficiently changing the sentence structure or word choice used in either source, and not citing or acknowledging the work that has been put into the document or piece of research before it has been submitted. It is called patchwork or mosaic plagiarism because if you imagine a patchwork blanket, lots of different panels, often produced by different people, are stitched together, with the words of the author of the paper being submitted. Much like how the panels of a patchwork blanket are created by various different people, collected together and then sewn together, usually by one person. Inaccurate authorship. Some elements of this type of plagiarism are more relevant to those that have published research in a particular field and involves either somebody who has contributed to the writing of a piece of research not being credited, or someone being credited for writing all or part of a piece of research when in fact they didn't. However, for the purposes of EAP, undergraduate and school students, this type of plagiarism is likely to occur if you get somebody who is not your teacher or tutor employed by the university or college that you attend to proofread and edit your work, making large changes. A more severe form of this plagiarism is ghostwriting, whereby you employ someone else to write your essay or research paper for you and then submit it as your own work. Universities are aware of this practice, and this is why on submitting a final piece of work you are instructed to confirm that you have not had any assistance other than that provided by the institution that you attend in production of your work. It is dishonest and sometimes very easy to detect, and for both reasons you shouldn't do it. Of all the 6 types of plagiarism mentioned today, only 2 could really be considered accidental. The other 4 are more or less inexcusable. To help you to avoid accidentally plagiarising, the rest of this video will discuss steps to avoid paraphrasing plagiarism and mosaic or patchwork plagiarism. Paraphrasing plagiarism. Paraphrasing plagiarism can occur for 2 main reasons. One, because the writer of a paper submitted to university or school as original work thought that simply changing a few words in a sentence meant that they had changed it enough for it to look like the writer's original thought, or because they copied down something word for word in their notes and didn't indicate to themselves that these were the thoughts of another person. As a result, they then included these words in their final draft, assuming they were their own, and the rest is history. The student gets accused of plagiarism and the world ends. Please note that as EAP students, it is less likely that you or your teacher or lecturer would confuse your writing style with that of a published author, as naturally you won't have the same grasp of academic English as someone that communicates in such language every day. As you gain experience in academic writing, this may be the case, but at this stage this is far less likely to be a plausible excuse. The easiest way to avoid paraphrasing plagiarism is to avoid copying directly from the source in the first place, unless you intend to directly quote from the source. In which case, what you copy should be only 2 or 3 sentences long. Instead of copying, look away from what you have read and write down what you think you have understood. Then check that the meanings are the same, but that you haven't used exactly the same words. You should aim for a 1-sentence summary per paragraph of text you have read. Read through the text on screen for 2 minutes and then try to write down 2 main points from what you have read, 1 point for each paragraph. Here you can see my paraphrased example. Now for 2 minutes, compare your version and the original source side by side and highlight the phrases in both sources that are the same. As you can see, there are some small areas of the text that are the same or similar, but it is obvious that I haven't copied exactly what was written in Wikipedia. Therefore, I haven't plagiarised intentionally or otherwise. However, if I had copied the source text and simply changed a few words, like this, I would have plagiarised. As you can see that I have made minor changes to the phrasing or word choice, but the work is still very much written by somebody else. By putting things in your own words, using the first method of note-taking without looking directly at the text, you avoid the possibility of going from source to source and copying the key information, just changing certain words. This means you are far less likely to become guilty of patchwork plagiarism. As a final thought, don't try to engage in a battle of wits with your lecturer or teacher in the hope that they will not find out you've plagiarised. There are systems in place and web-based programs in use, such as Turnitin, which automatically detects plagiarism from multiple sources. The chances are that if your friend, cousin, brother or pet hamster was on an EAP course anywhere around the world and submitted their work online and you borrow it, you will be found out. If you employ a ghostwriter or proofreader, your lecturer will know, as they have seen how your work has progressed in the time you have been in their class, and you could find yourself trying to answer some very awkward questions. Even if you do get away with it, it is a hollow victory, as the EAP programme is designed to be ready for university courses in the UK. If you cheat, you aren't ready and you're only setting yourself up for failure later on. Please remember that even if you paraphrase properly, like in the first example, you still need to show that the idea, even though written in your own words, has come from another source, and as such, you must cite it. However, how you do that will be discussed in another lesson. Thank you for watching this video lesson. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel for further educational videos. Thanks for watching.